Here's the thought. Real transformation doesn't always look like what you expect. When you're hurting, you want change. And you think you know what that direction of the change should be. You think you want to get along better with your partner, or you want to do better in your business, or you want to have less stress, or you're already doing well in your business and you're wanting to get to the next level. You're not getting along with your oldest child, your oldest adult child, or there's a new in law in the family and that presents challenges, whatever it is, we have ideas about how we should act or they should act in order for things to be better. We have ideas how the business should go. We have ideas about how we should spend our time. And then we have ideas about how to make any of those things better. Often, however, those ideas and thoughts about how to make things better, they they are born from the part of us that's already stressed. And as I'm sure you've seen many times, when you're relaxed, different ideas come to you, different thoughts. Famously, at least the story I heard, Einstein came up with the theory of relativity while he was rocking the cradle of his child, right? So, as opposed to sitting there thinking about the theory of relativity or whatever it was called in his mind at that time. So, when we feel troubled inside, or when we know that our success could feel happier, or our marriage more loving, or our hearts more open, we do what we think is best, is right, is logical to solve the problem. We try to think happy thoughts, feel more gratitude, forgive past hurts, have more massages, set firmer boundaries, use better software, have AI save us time. All of these are helpful and they're important and they work. But these are all symptoms of what's wrong. They're addressing the symptom. They're not the core problem. So when we fix these things, sure, it helps, but it is definitely more like a band-aid than a deep tectonic shift, which when you're hurting or when you want more in your life or you want to be a better person, the one you know you can be, you're wanting that tectonic shift. You don't want a band-aid. So normally when we try to solve a problem, we typically go and try to be more logical. And that's the kind of advice that we get also. But the problem is that our problems don't stem from lack of logic. We may be acting illogically, but that's not what they stem from. They stem from losing contact with our original real self. That self is, hold on here, much freer, happier, more naturally in the flow, stronger, and more confident than we feel now. So what might that look like? Yeah, Wendy, what's the real self? Well, the real self, as we've been talking over these weeks, is the self that's locked underneath and behind your history, the organically whole you that had to get her corners shaved off in order to fit into the round hole that family and society and school and religion and so forth expected of you. But that self is still in there. And actually, that original self is a really big part of why you're searching. Because whether you consciously know it or not, there's a there's a sense that you can be living differently, which is why you're searching. And that contact with her, with that original organic self, that connection so that she's what figures out how to have more success, feel more loving, get along better with that adult child. When she starts emerging and when she's let loose, which you can't do with logic, then you start to feel more like yourself, obviously, because you're acting more like yourself. So, for example, you might have a problem with, let's say, an adult child, and you try to solve it logically. But the more you try to solve it that way, there's a kind of a deadening that comes. There's a kind of whitewashing that comes. There's a kind of like vanilla-ish flavor that comes through. And it doesn't tend to get, like, for example, your more playful parts, your fun parts, your freer parts, which everybody wants more of, including you. But you can't get there by trying to logic yourself into it. Or, for example, if you're, I told you last week, I won't repeat that story about stiletto heels, but it's a good story. You should check it out from last week. Let's say you have a disaster that happens at work. I'm thinking of a man, a financial advisor that I worked with, that when he had a huge marketing situation many decades ago, actually, that was just a completely failed, and he put a lot of money into this, and he needed something back from it. And normally he told me what he would tend to do would be, well, what he would do is he would go underneath his desk and hide. I mean, not, maybe not literally, but he said figuratively, and not come out. It was so devastating, those kinds of failures. Uh, but this time, because he he literally had been connecting to that freer part of himself that naturally could pick itself up, naturally could go around obstacles or over them instead of butting up against them and feeling shame and terror and terrible. And all kinds of creative ideas came to him, and within hours, he already started having business come through from that failed marketing attempt. So, that kind of freedom, when you're not locked down in the problem, when the heat of the problem gets lowered so you can actually breathe and think straight, all of that has to do with being calmer, of course, and it's also generally part of connecting to this original real self, which maybe you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know who she is. I don't remember her. Or, you know, how could she solve this? If you're if you're here, there's still something in you that believes there's more to you than what's showing up now. It has to be. You're looking for something. You're looking for something. And in my mind, she keeps signaling us by how bad we feel until we truly figure it out. So let me add this last piece. So when you reconnect to this real self, if you set a better boundary, which a lot of times people suggest or you think you should do, it doesn't end up feeling rigid or hard. Like, no, I won't talk to that person. No, I won't be friends with that person anymore. No, they're not going to treat me like that anymore. Just like see how that happens. And yes, you may need absolutely to separate yourself from that person and protect yourself. But maybe you don't have to steal yourself to do that. Maybe that's hurting you, right? Why does what they're doing have to make you rigid? There's something wrong with that picture. Or let's say when you're operating more from this self, you go to a massage, have a massage, and it goes in deeper, and we can relax more when we're receiving it. And just getting into the car to go back home doesn't tighten us all up again, right? Because something different is coming through us, and we don't have that band-aid of the massage, but we have a deeper ability not only to relax, but to have that Einsteinian, those kind of Einsteinian ideas come through, like I said, when we're figuratively rocking the cradle, because we're operating at a deeper level of ourself, and we can have that contact which we're looking for. I would love to know if what is going on in your mind as you listen to me. So if you care to share, DM me and or make a comment rather and let me know. Thanks for listening and thanks for coming.